Hey everyone, welcome back. Next I want to talk to you about drawing with simple basic shape tools. An easy way to create artwork is with basic shapes. In fact, many complicated pieces in Illustrator start off by using these tools. In the shape area, you'll start by seeing a rectangle. This is your default shape tool. If you click and hold down the rectangle and you slide all the way to the right, we can go ahead and take a look at each of these shape options. Now starting off with the rectangle, again you want to pay attention to your fill and stroke. I'm going to go ahead and switch my stroke with my switch toggle, so now I have just a black outline and no fill. When I'm drawing with a shape, there's a couple keys that you need to pay attention to. To simply draw, you can hold down the mouse in the upper or left or lower corner and drag in the direction you want the shape to go. Up, left, down. If you want it to be proportional, hold down the Shift key, and that will make a proportional shape. If you want to do a rectangle that's proportional and center out, hold down the Shift key and hold down either Options or Alt for Mac. You need both keys being held down as you're dragging, and then you'll have a proportional and center out form. If you just want to draw center out, hold down the Options key or Alt for PC and just pull out, and you can make any form that you want. So that is how you draw a basic shape. These same principles can be utilized for any of the 5 shape tools. Using my selection tool, I'm going to click and drag and pull over these, and then I'm going to simply delete. Next, I want to show you an option where if you have a tool selected, you can simply click on a tool, and that's true for any of these, and you can double click with your mouse and a options window will appear. This will give you the ability to type in a specific size that you want rather than dragging to the size that you would like. Now this is going to make a corner, and you can adjust the size of your corner here. I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone. One of the newer features in Illustrator are these little corner points. These allow you to adjust the corner of the selected anchor point that you have selected. So if we have the whole thing selected as we do now, when we pull in, it's going to drag in all the corner points or remove the corner points. If we grab our direct selection tool and select only one portion of the shape, then we can choose to just change that one corner. And that is because when you have it selected, you're selecting this corner or these anchor points as opposed to not selecting these. So it allows you to control what corners you want. You can also manually type in if you have a specific corner that you want to change, and that's with your corner options here. So I can type in the corner specifically to the size that I want to match or change, or I can select the whole form and change the corner as well by typing in my option radius here and adjust it. You also have different styles of corners you can choose from. So this is your traditional rounded. You also have your inverted rounded corner, beveled, or chamfer style. And again, you can change these sizes at any time of the corner edge. Using my selection tool, again, I'm going to delete, and I'm going to grab my ellipse tool. Now again, showing you, and the same principles I showed you with the rectangle tool, is if you hold Shift key and pull, you have a proportional circle. If you hold down the Options key, you have the center out with proportion. And of course, if you just hold the Options or Alt key, then you just have the center out. As shown before, if you double click, you'll have your options where you can choose the size of the ellipse you want to create. Now where that feature really comes in handy is utilizing the polygon tool. So since I have this ellipse selected, I'm going to click delete and I'm going to grab my polygon tool. Now when you double click with the polygon tool, the important thing you get to pay attention to is how many sides you want this polygon to have. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 6. Choose 6 and you can see the form of your polygon. You can hold down Shift and drag a variation of size of your polygon. You can hold down Alt. You can choose the size. Now what's great about Shift, besides the fact it's proportional, is it keeps your shape controlled on a straight edge. So that is Shift and the Options or Alt key for PC. To show you a different size here, this is also a great tool in order to show you how to make a quick triangle. So rather than having 6 sides, let's go ahead and choose 3 and choose OK, and now we have our triangle. If we wanted to make this a rounded corner triangle, then we can grab these and utilize our little corner radiuses, or we can type in specific amount, or if we only wanted to affect one of them, we could select with our direct selection tool and then remove the corner completely. It's like a little Hershey kiss. All right, so the final shape to show is the star tool. Now the star has a similar feature where if you double click, you can see the different radiuses for your in and out points of your star, as well as how many points you want the star to have. I'm going to go ahead and show you what is set as default by clicking OK, and you can see your simple 5-point star. You can hold down the Shift key and click and drag to get your variations of points, as well as your Options key for center out or Alt for PC. And again, holding down Shift and Alt keeps a nice straight point for the star and keeps it center out for sizing. All right, now that we've taken a look at the different types of shapes, let me show you some fun things in which you can do with the shape to draw. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at what's called the Pathfinder palette. So I'm going to ask you to go to Windows. This is an area in which you will find all of your panels. We're going to go down to the word Pathfinder. Go ahead and click, and you'll see this panel appear. Now, one of the difficult things about the Pathfinder is a little bit of it is trial and error. What the Pathfinder Effects does is combines multiple shapes. It's known as compound shapes. By combining these multiple objects or shapes, you're specifying how you want the objects to interact with one another. So using some of these shapes, I'm going to go ahead and overlap some of these forms here. I'm just selecting them and moving them with my arrow key a little bit. And let's put this one inside here. All right. Now, when dealing with the Pathfinder palette, it is recommended that you only select a few at a time. So if we wanted to combine these, let's say we're going to make this polygon solid. So I'm going to swap the fill, so it's now filled, and I'm going to see my star is still there. I'm going to click and drag with my black arrow, which is my selection tool, both of these forms. And I know only both of these forms are selected because they are surrounded by a bounding box, and you can see both of the blue lines where all of these are not selected. Now when doing this, I want to knock out the star. The star was the last thing I drew. Looking at the different options, so you can see here, the very first one here is unite. So what that would do is essentially get rid of the star, so we don't want to use that one. The next one here says minus the front. Okay, that's a possibility. It could work. This one here says intersect. All right, so it keeps the form. Let's take a look at that one. And then the other one is exclude, which means that it will exclude the overlapping shapes. So let's take a look at this one here. And then if we hit the fill button, we can clearly see our form is see-through through the shape. So what it did was it combined these two. So now whenever you click off and you click back on here, this is essentially one shape. This is what's filled, and this is empty. You cannot fill that star now. That is an empty piece. It's connected to this form. All right. Taking a look at these two stars, let's see what we can do with these two stars. So another great little feature it does is when you have a series of complex pieces and you want to break them all apart, another one is divide. So divide will break all these into individual pieces. When showing you how to utilize a divide, I get to also introduce a new tool. And that tool is the direct selection group. So by going down to the direct selection tool with the little plus sign, you're choosing the group selection tool. By clicking off with this and clicking back on, it's only selecting the form that's associated with that one group. It's a great way to pull pieces apart. So what was originally two stars is now broken into three individual pieces. You can see how quickly simple shapes can turn into very complex pieces utilized for logo design and quick creations. Adobe has created another new tool called the Shape Builder tool. Now what the Shape Builder tool is takes the basic elements of Pathfinder, meaning it combines shapes, but only in two simple ways, either adding or minusing. So rather than taking the guesswork out, it's going to combine some of these quick, simple features rather than having to go through all this. So to show you this in a simpler form, we're going to go back to that idea of utilizing a fish. And we're going to draw a fish together using these two principles, the Pathfinder palette and the Shape Builder tool. Using the selection tool, we're going to select everything on this board. You can also hit Control A and then delete, and that will clear off your board of any loose pieces. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the simplest form of shape and how we can make a simple fish utilizing this concept. So I'm going to start by making a perfect circle. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to do Option key so I can do center out and pull that out. So I have a ring. Now it's important that you pay attention and you do not have a fill. You want to see the way these shapes layer together, so make sure your fill is turned off and you only have a stroke. The color of the stroke is optional. Now utilizing your selection tool, I'm going to teach you another fun trick. If you hold down the Options key when you select a piece and drag, it copies the form. If you hold down Shift, it keeps it in alignment. So holding down Option and Shift, now we have two rings that match perfectly, just dragging them down. That was an efficient, quick way to make a copy. You can also, if you want to copy something, you can simply go up to Edit, Copy Paste, or hit the shortcut commands Command C, Command V. The problem with copying and pasting in this manner is that it randomly puts it on the page. So if you want to have a controlled paste, you either need to paste in front, which places it in the exact same path alignment by going to File, Paste in Place, or you need to hold down the Options key so you can control the placing location. So we have, if you just look at this inner piece right here, now we have the body of the fish. Next, I want to pay attention to the tail. So we need a triangle. As I've shown you before, a quick way to get a triangle is by going to the polygon tool and just simply double clicking and choosing 3 sides. Once you've applied the sides, choose OK. Using my selection tool, I'm going to drag it down to the side of my page, and I want to rotate this. A quick way to rotate, whenever you have a form or shape within a bounding box, go to a corner of your bounding box, slightly hover outside of it, rotation feature will appear. When you rotate, if you know you're going to be rotating it in a controlled form, meaning measurements of like 45 degrees, hold down Shift. It will rotate the form in that 45 and then rotate it again at a nice 90-degree, nice and straight. Still having my selection tool selected, I can now drag it over and line it up to the end of my fish. So I'm paying attention how it fits my form here. Now for my tail, I want a nice round piece here. So I'm going to grab an ellipse. Going right next to my form here, I'm going to hold down Alt so it centers out, and then hold down my mouse and pull up and out to my form to get my nice rounded tail. And that's the form I'm looking here for my fin. Once I have that, I have my basic forms of my fish. So in order to show whenever you use the Shape Builder or the Pathfinder tool, if you're showing it in an exercise or a demo like you are with me for exercise 1, I want you to make sure you copy these. So select them. I'm just going to move this up a bit out of our way. And then when you're about to copy, go ahead and hold down Alt, then hold down Shift, and just drag it over. Now I have 2 of my forms. And since I'm going to be showing you the Shape Builder and the Pathfinder, I'm going to go ahead and drag it one more time off to the side here. All right, so let's take a look at this form. So this is what our original is. We're going to leave that one alone. And we're going to go to this one here, and we're going to select the 2 forms that we want to apply. And let's take a look at the Pathfinder palette, since this is where we started before. And what we want to pay attention to is the intersection. We want to keep these 2 pieces here, this body, but get rid of the outside forms. You can do it multiple ways, depending on what type of Pathfinder you choose, but I'm going to go with the quickest form, which means intersect. I want to keep that intersection between the 2. So now I have my nice little lemon. Next I want to do is pay attention to my tail and my curve. I want to get rid of this ellipse. So I'm going to select these 2 forms here, and then I want to remove, or I should say minus, my front because I drew my ellipse last. So going here, I'm going to look for minus front, which should be this one here, and click there. Next, I want to take a look at these 2 pieces, and what I want to do is unite them so they're one solid unit of a fish. That's my top one here, where I click Unite. If at any time you make a mistake or you play around and you click a button or it doesn't do something, don't keep clicking. It probably did something, you're just not seeing it. But make sure you undo that step before you move forward. It is very quick and easy to get lost and lose your control of the Pathfinder palette because it's doing things you're not seeing. So just make sure if you don't see something you like, you undo that step and then try the next one. Don't keep clicking around. It won't quite work as efficiently as you think. So that is the Pathfinder palette. Pretty simple, have a little fun with it. Maybe multiply this a couple times and try different variations of it. The next tool I want to show you is the Shape Builder tool. Now the Shape Builder tool is a really cool, quick way to combine shapes. So the key is to first select the entire form you want to apply the Shape Builder tool with. Once you have all of the pieces selected, go to the Shape Builder feature and click Shape Builder. Now here's where it gets interesting. You can see as it hovers, it turns gray. you can see a little plus sign. If you hold down Alt, it makes a little minus sign. Okay? So you're telling the computer, I don't want this piece. Click. I'm telling the computer down here, I don't want this piece. Hold down Alt with the minus, click. Now I'm telling the computer, I don't want these pieces here. So I'm going to start on the outside, hold down Alt, and drag through the piece until I don't want them anymore and let go. Now I'm going to tell the computer, oh, I want this all together. You can scribble over the top and add. Now that you've seen the different ways in which you can create shapes, and then utilize these shapes to create new or more complex forms, have a little fun, try creating these fish. Once you're comfortable, do this next stage in the exercise.